Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. I am Clementine, and as always, I am Super Saiyan. But never mind that. In this video, we're gonna take this humbucker, rip out its innards, do some screwing, drilling, and banging till she's transmorgified into a single coil-sized P90 that'll fit in a humbucker, a ring, or a Strat. So of course we'll slap it in a testing mule guitar, crank up some hot tubes, and see how that works! This is a very quick, simple, and easy DIY project with great results, and I will show and explain the entire process in detail. And if that sounds like something you might be interested in, stay tuned!
Roll the beautiful bean footage.
So, first things first, this video, like so many others, was inspired by a comment from a viewer. Reverb Autopsy commented,
Have you considered making a Strat-sized P90 by taking the pickup with screw pole pieces from a humbucker and putting 2 mini magnets on each side?
Well, no, I had not, and this is a fabulous idea. So this is a cheap $5 humbucker from eBay. When you flip over the pickup, you will see 4 Phillips head screws on the back plate. If you remove those, you can wiggle the coils to break them free from any wax residue left over from potting. Once you do this, you can gently fold open the pickup, revealing its innards. Okay, while some of us know exactly what we're looking at here, it's like might as well be the inside of a nuclear reactor to other people. So to explain both what all this stuff is and why this was such a clever comment, let's go to a diagram. This is how a humbucker is built, starting from the bottom. There's a metal base plate with a bar magnet lying flat in the center. Above this magnet are 2 plastic bobbins wound with copper magnet wire. Running through the center of one bobbin is a plain, cylindrical metal pole piece. Under the other coil is a spacer. Passing through the center of that bobbin are cap head screws. A P90 pickup is built in a very similar way. There's a flat metal base plate, and now instead of a single magnet, there are 2 magnets placed along the outer edges of the base plate. Inversely, there is only 1 coil. This is a shorter, fatter coil, and being the precursor of the humbucker, it uses the same spacer and cap screw configuration. The mod the viewer had suggested was to delete everything but 1 cap screw coil, simply install 2 mini magnets under the bottom. Oh, this is a fantastic idea, and pretty much single coil size P90s that they sell everywhere. But what I'm going to do today is a little different. I'm going to take a regular humbucker, delete the coil with pole pieces, move the pickup and magnet over, then install another magnet. And that is straight up a P90 with a Strat size coil. And now that everyone watching knows that this is a magnet and this is the coil we need to get rid of, we can start to the modificate. So, you see them wires coming out of that pickup? Now you don't. Grab you a hold to what's left of them and start a shaving on it. Twist them yonder wires akin to one another. If you feel fancy today, you can mount them together with the devil's curling iron and a whisker from the meanest bobcat whatever was on this mountain. Then after you sup them 2 wires with some tar paper, you ready to start jobbing some holes.
That's totally not funny. Now nobody knows where the wires go.
There's a coax wire running to the pickup. There's a gathered bare wire coming from it, which is soldered to the base plate and also continues on into one of the pickup coils as a covered wire. The coated center conductor of the coax loops around to become the start of the second coil. And there'll be a little loop of wire going between the coils, connecting them together. And now you want to slash this loop and the center conductor, discard the other coil, strip and twist the wires together. It'll work just like this, but it'd be a lot better if you put some solder on it. Either way, it's a good idea to tape them up. To mount this coil, we just drill 2 small pilot holes directly between the 2 original mounting holes. Enlarge them with the correct size drill bit, reinstall the coil mounting screws, crank her down, and viola. Now if we look at this pickup from the end, it's identical to the diagram we looked at earlier. But it looks to me like the screws coming out the back of the coil are holding it up too tall for a magnet and spacer to be wedged tightly under it. And depending on how much tape is on that coil, that doesn't look like a whole lot of wire. And this test will determine if the solution for both is one and the same. And it appears it will be. I was very surprised that this little coil had over 5.5K, especially in a $5 pickup. I was so sure I was going to have to rewind this cheap coil that's the whole reason that I made the last video where I made a pickup winder. And that's live That's what the people say. It appears all we need to do here is just back these screws out about as much as you would on a regular P90 you're going to put a dog ear or plastic cover over the top of. That'll get those poles up there where they can sense the heck out of those strings and push that coil down near the magnets. And now you can see that if we put a spacer on each side, it'll make a good tight little sandwich. But we need an identical magnet, so here's an identical pickup that were actually sold as a set. To remove this cover, I can just clip these two solder joints which are attached to brass eyelet, which is clever. It allows you to use an aluminum backplate, which is non-ferrous, non-magnetic, just like brass, while being cheaper and easier to machine. Once I had the coil mounting screws relatively loose, I started wiggling the coils and tapping on the magnet, and then I was smacking the magnet. But once the wax let go of it, it just slid right out. Now that we got our magnet, we can save this back for torture at a later date. I'm gonna grab me a couple of plastic spacers. You can use a plethora of non-magnetic materials. The original PAFs used wood. Okay, now about these magnets. They stick together. That's what magnets do, right? You flip it axially end to end, still sticks together. But if you spin it flat and present the other edge, they will repel. And this is exactly the configuration you want when you stick them in that pickup. And surprisingly, they give little to no resistance and slide right in there and jump into place like they love it. I flipped her over and cranked down on them screws, and that's when I noticed this thing has about the same amount of gauge as a CAT scan during a power surge. I noticed my spacers and magnets were a little wonky, so I took time to hold it all straight and tighten it up real good, and look at that, she's premium and deluxe. So I set up with an honest thumbnail of the stuff that's actually laying here. Okay, so obviously this pickup will go into a humbucker ring. This will work fine, but it looks quite abnormal. A 52mm humbucker size P90 cover will fit this. Alternatively, a 52mm strap pickup cover is exactly the same size as this bobbin. And the mounting holes are close enough that you can use the long humbucker hardware to mount this thing perfectly up through the back of a strap pick guard. For a perfectly indetectable 007 James Bond style P90 tone mod. And as demonstrated with the Testing Mule guitar, if you got a Strat or other similarly built guitar with a bathtub route or routes for humbuckers, this will go right in there. So we can hook these wires up, plug a single pig hog cable into a stage right tube amp with a 12-inch speaker. And this time I was a little surprised and caught off guard by how that works. Well guys, that just about does it for this video. If you found this educational or entertaining in any way, please like and maybe subscribe! I am Clementine. You are watching Heavy Metal ATC. Till next time!